And this came with an incredible amount of fear. I have never left home before. Everything was prepared for me, I was always looked after, and I didn't know what to expect. And I still remember the day I took a train to Manchester for the first time. I had a couple of big bags with me with all the stuff. One fork, one knife, one plate, and one of everything. What's going on, guys? It's Hassan from The Spiritual Walks. I hope you are doing amazing. I am happy to have you join me on this walk where we'll be talking about the things I would tell my 18-year-old self. So to let you know, I am 24, turning 25 soon. And 6 years ago, in the 6 years between 18 years old and now, a lot has happened. So much has happened, and a lot has been learned, and I really hope that we continue to learn and continue to grow spiritually, mentally, physically, and in every way possible. And so I'd like to take the time to share some pointers, to share some valuable lessons, and it may obviously be relative. It may be valuable to myself, but hopefully there is some level of value to you if you are 18, or if there is someone that you care about that may be around a similar age, but it may actually even be applicable to you if you are older than 18 or older than myself. But in any case, when I was 18 years old, I was in a place where I could say I am lost. And I still feel like that sometimes, to be honest. And obviously, as you are feeling lost, there is this feeling of emptiness, trying to figure things out in life, and it's not the greatest feeling. You know, seeing other people around you enjoying their life, getting on with it, not asking certain questions that kind of throw you into the deep end of life. Just, you know, getting on with it. But I was the type of person that always had to question everything. I was always the type of person that always felt like certain things in life that are completely normal, that are mainstream, are just so meaningless. And for that reason, I continued to question things and to question the point of life, to question all of it. Like studying religions, studying myself, studying, you know, absolutely everything. Getting to a point where I can admit to myself that I don't know a thing. And being able to admit that really just opens up my senses and makes me focus on the moment, to really see and understand what this is all about, you know? As simple as looking at this little bush and then observing this leaf. And I'll just look at this leaf, all of the tiny details and crevices and the colors and the shades, and there's so much, and it can be incredibly overwhelming when we actually agree with ourselves that there is so much that we don't know, right? And so in that, I could say I was pretty lost, and it was only a matter of time until I learned something. And that, we could say, is perhaps the first lesson, which is that you can only find yourself if you are lost. So very often we are subconsciously lost without even knowing. But if we get to a point where we can actually agree that we are lost, we don't know what this is all about, we don't know where we are headed in life, we're not happy where we are. If we can get to a point where we can observe this and either say that, yes, I'm happy with this, I am content, I'm grateful, and I'm grateful with where my life is headed. And you can always tell where your life is headed by just observing what you are doing on a day-to-day basis and how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. Or you could say, I'm unhappy. And if we can admit that to ourselves, we'll realize that we are lost. There's some emptiness. But the beauty in being lost is that you now have the opportunity to find yourself. And so that in itself should spark the energy and the fuel that can propel you into becoming the greatest version of yourself, into becoming that which you don't even know you could become. You don't even know it's possible in experiencing and in achieving. So that's the first lesson. And when looking at this even closer, you can also come to realize that around that age, you will come across a lot more temptations. You know, as you get older, the access to the amount of experiences you can engage in, the amount of career paths, the amount of different routes you can go in life, it just continues to expand. And every door that you open leads you to 1,000 more doors, and every one of these 1,000 doors leads you to another 10,000 doors, and there are just endless amounts of experiences and opportunities out there. Now that could be very overwhelming. Some people say that the world is your oyster, but when you first kind of realize that, it can perhaps freeze you and kind of not want you to leave home. It can kind of put you in a demotivated sort of mindset, a sort of sense of fear, the fear of that mystery, the fear of not knowing what will happen next. And so I guess the second lesson in this is to realize that that which you fear, behind that is most likely something that will fulfill you. Very often there are experiences in life that come up. These experiences, they come forth, or these opportunities, they come forth, and if we decide to not go towards such an experience because we are scared, then we have to assess that fear. And so I could say that the second point is really understanding fear. If we can understand what fear is really trying to teach us, if we can understand what fear is trying to show us, can we allow ourselves to be in a position to figure out whether we should go ahead or not? We should realize that we should not be guided by fear, but we should give ourselves the room to understand fear. So for example, I grew up in London, and so there was the opportunity to move to Manchester, and this came with an incredible amount of fear. I have never left home before. Everything was prepared for me, I was always looked after, and I didn't know what to expect. And I still remember the day I took a train to Manchester for the first time. I had a couple of big bags with me with all of the stuff, one fork, one knife, one plate, and one of everything. And in that sort of moment, right, as I kind of took the leap, I realized that this type of fear is only there because it's trying to protect me, right? But what is really the worst that can happen? Whatever you fear happening is a lesson anyway. And so if we can really understand fear and not allow it to guide us, or not let it guide us, and see that what we fear can actually be a tremendous opportunity, that can really allow us to experience certain things in life that are life-changing. So these two, I believe, are the main points that I really wanted to share. And the third one that I will add into this is, wherever you are and whatever you do, always bring yourself back to the moment. Understand that the mind and what happens in the mind is just content moving around, very much like the clouds in the sky. These clouds in the sky, We love a clear sky, isn't it? We love it for a reason. So imagine a clear mind. And we can only reach that if we stop giving the constant energy to thoughts, to these automatic thoughts that make us feel in certain ways. And so realize that the content in your mind is just content, it's just objects. It's very much like this grass on the floor, or trees, or any object. Is no different to the objects and the thoughts that go through the mind. And that really puts things into perspective and gives you the ability to change how much you value different thoughts that enter and exit your mind. And I guess, even though there's a lot more to speak about, I guess I'll wrap it up here. Maybe we can do a second part of this. But hey, thank you so much for walking along. Wherever you are, if you have any questions, if you are confused, if you feel lost, drop me a message. Let's have a conversation. I'd love to speak to you. I'd love to hear about you. I reply to all of my DMs on Instagram. So the Instagram is @thespiritualwalks. Do make sure you subscribe. Your support is very much meaningful. And aside from that, thank you so much once again, and see you next week.